Yeah.
So, and they thought that I'd had a heart attack. They heard that I'd had a heart attack,
Yeah.
and I was in hospital.
Yeah.
But I didn't
Mm.
because they evacuated me in time. I know I get very anxious sometimes, and when you're surrounded by floodwaters and not for the first time,
Yeah.
you know what can happen to you.
Yeah.
So I came to Latrobe, and I thought, well, you know, it's such a small town that
Yeah.
if there's any danger from the river, they'll come knocking and tell you, you know, you must evacuate before you get flooded in.
Sure.
And I opened the door. I had this raging river like 20 metres from me, and not only in front of me, but it was all coming in behind me. Well, it was about 1 a.m, and I sort of packed everything up in the van and decided I was going to drive out. Well, I got to the entrance and there was no way. The floodwaters were just, it was raging. Van park owner was still in bed asleep, and at 3 o'clock his friend rang him and said, look, you better get out, otherwise you're going to have wet feet. Mm-hmm. And he says he couldn't believe it. He opened the door, he says, and there's all these swirling floodwaters coming in 2 directions. Yeah. And so, you know, I said to him, look, you know, I said, he knew that I had a heart condition and so forth, my medical condition, when I went into the caravan park. And I said, look, I've been holding it together for 2 hours now. I said, I'm starting to tingle and, you know, really get into that anxiety panic mode. And this happened before, you see, and this is when I had a heart attack, and it was caused by the floodwaters. And so he took me in his 4-wheel drive, and it was above the lights and it was, you know, coming up over the bonnet, and we just started to slew sideways. And the engine, you know, it was really. So anyway, we went to met the ambulance and went to the hospital. The next day, they put me in a taxi with 2 hospital gowns on, one way and one the other way, and just put me in a taxi with a voucher and took me to the East Devonport Evacuation Centre. Oh. And I had no shoes or anything.
Oh my goodness.
I just had a bag of wet clothes. So I got to the evac centre and they were just absolutely amazing.
Oh, gosh.
Amazing. When I left there, they bought me a beautiful pair of Homiped diabetic shoes. That I need special shoes because of my, you know, feet and so forth. And they got me 2 pair of two outfits of clothes and toiletries, and they were just absolutely they were marvellous, and they belonged to the city council. Well, then of course we were transferred from there, and I spent the night in the Argosy Hotel. Then they transferred us to the centre in town here. Is it the town hall? He's just making all these phone calls, and then I meet Calvin. But since then, you know, I've had all these young people came from the different churches, and they just emptied out my van, then distributed all my washing.
It's a bit scary.
There's like a network of washing machines that are attached.
You wouldn't believe it all belonged to one person in one little van. And the young people were absolutely terrific. They shampooed the van for me, and then one of them checked the motor over, and someone paid for an air cleaner, and I mean, it's just marvellous. They just don't realise what a help they've been. Yeah, a real blessing. And, yes, there's certainly been a lot of people involved in it, and of course Catherine yesterday.
We had a good day.
We had it was a whole day. I was absolutely pooped when I got home. She took me and we got my dog and went to the doctors and went and got some food from the
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 basketball.
basketball
stadium.
stadium, and
We went and met. You went back to the volunteers. Too,
went
remember?
back to the volunteers
say
and
Yeah.
thanked them all and
Yeah.
showed them Nellie and.
Yeah, cool. So you're around for a few more days,
Oh,
just
yeah.
in terms of in Latrobe before you head back. Are you going back to Snow?
No,
No.
I'm staying here
Oh,
until I can get on the boat
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
find out a little bit more about where I can fit into the community and yeah.
Chat and choose was a good start.
Oh,
You've
just-
certainly met a few people from
Oh.
the community these last few days.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's just been. I've got. We know that the Christian family and the the public, the general population, they always put their hands up. My situation really is nothing compared to some of them. I mean, I can't begin to imagine what's happened to other people, but it certainly made it a lot easier for me and